Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Gunn, and I am the coordinator of digital scholarship at Catholic University of America Libraries. Welcome. This workshop is being recorded and will be made available at a later date along with the slides. Today, we're going to be exploring the open source software AntConc. AntConc is a great tool for analyzing corpora, and we will work through some of its basic features. So this is a beginner class, if you will. So let's get right into it. All right, so AntConc is freely available corpus and analysis software tool. It was developed by Lawrence Anthony. It's widely used in digital humanities, linguistics, and textual scholarship. AntConc allows researchers to analyze large collections of text quickly and systematically. So core functionalities include keyword extraction, concordancing, the collation analysis, word frequency lists, and advanced search techniques using regular expressions. There's even a newish chat GPT tool that they've been introduced last year and that they're revising, and we'll take a look at that and we'll talk about that. Um, the first modern computer readable general corpora was the Brown Corpus of American English. It was compiled by Francis and Kucera at Brown University back in 61. That's why it's called the Brown Corpus. It consists of 1 million words in American English. Now, the texts for the corpus were sampled from 15 different categories to make the corpus a good standard reference. So different areas such as journalism, prose, life skills, hobbies, biographies, science, and humanities texts were covered. So latest version is actually 2006 and it's been updated and is preloaded into AntConc. So I will be pulling some files for you. And in fact, I'm going to put the link in the folder right now if you want to use. Um, Follow along. You can with this. So I'm going to put that in the link into the chat box here. So we will be we'll be loading that and working off of that and doing some basic searching. All right. So, and I'm just using this for an example, but if you do want to find some more interesting corpora, I recommend going to english-corpora.org or corpusdata.org. You can find quite a bit of corpora there that you can use to get started with your own research in that. I should also mention that in um, linguistics and doing this type of searching, you can also look at parts of speech tagging called POS. And if you want to know more about that, there's a service out there called Clause, and the part of speech tagging is also called grammatical tagging. It's the most common form of corpus annotation. So you can tag all these particular words that are in your particular corpus, and you can search on the basis of that. We will not be doing any of that today. We're just going to be using raw text, so to speak. But you do have that kind of options. All right. So that is a very quick introduction to to AntConc, and now we're going to go in and take a look at this. And I'm going to move over to the AntConc website. So what you can do is you can you can go to AntConc website and you can download this particular software. Like I said, it's free. The latest official release is 4.3.1 for for Windows and that. I'm actually going to be using Windows 4.40, the beta. So we'll see how that works moving forward. So what I've done is I've installed it and I've downloaded it and I installed it on my computer. And once I've got it set up, I'm going to click on the icons, this little button here. And it is going to load up and I'm going to share new face here. Go. Now you should see this main screen for AntConc. And I'm just going to put in the brown text files, the links to that in the chat again. So if you do want to follow along, you can. If you just want to watch and see me demonstrate, I'm recording this, so you can always watch it at a later date. So there you go. All right, so here we are. All right, so let's do a little quick walk around here. So we want to look at different aspects here. We want to look under File. You're going to have a number of different ways that you can load your corpora, your corpus listed here. We will go through and do a number of these. Let's see. So if I wanted to get really busy really quick, I can go to Open File as Quick Corpus. I'm going to click on that. It's going to bring me to my desktop. And I'm going to go into AntConc here. And I'm going to take the brown corpus untagged. And I'm going to select all of these. So there you go. I've selected all of them. You can tell bottom left-hand corner, there's a little progress image here, and it will load up, and there you go. It says, here's a temporary temp has been created. The corpus can be viewed in the Corpus Manager library. So we're going to say, we could do OK, but what we're going to do is we're going to use this as our target corpus. So I'm going to click on this. Then you'll notice it's now on display on the left-hand side here. So we now have a number of the files for the brown corpus listed here. And this is a good way to think, how am I, what is it that I'm actually searching all that? It will be here in your target corpus listed here. These are the files that you're searching. All right, so the first thing, before we do any searching like that, I want to walk you through the different types of tools that you have here. So the tools are listed up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So you have keyword in context, which is very straightforward. You want to know where a word is in a particular part of the text, and you want to see the words before it, and you want to see the words after that, because that's kind of useful. You can look for material that way. If you'll notice here, we have down here the search query, words, case, regex, that sort of thing. I'll get into that in a second. But I want you to notice that each tool has a slightly different interface. So if I go to plot, it's slightly different here. We have an overlay and a plot zoom. If I go to file view, very basic. If we're doing clustering, you'll have again here a different range. N-grams, you'll notice different sizes, collocates, word listing, the frequency of words and all that. Keywords, you can look at that way. You can do word cloud, quite different. We'll do a quick demonstration of that. And then you have chat AI, where you can run some searching. So basic point is you can move in between these particular tools. So for example, when we're doing chat AI, what we'll do is we will load the text and we'll run a file view. And once we have loaded the file view in, when we go into chat AI, we can use that as a source. So we're always moving across these different platforms, these different tools, if you will. I should also mention here very quickly, now what kind of texts can you use here? So I'm going to go here to global. This is very useful up here, settings, global and tool. So if you go here, let's see, where did I put that? Ah, there we go. So under File, so what can you load up here? I remember back in the day, all you could do is basically use text, TXT, as something that you can search. But they've since expanded to all these different types of documents. So everything from TXT, PDFs, doc, HTML, XML, really great, comma separated, even EPUBs. I'm going to keep it simple today, basically use TXT moving forward, just so we don't fall into the weeds, so to speak. All right. So that's a quick run through here of the main page. So we're going to do very quickly, we're going to do a quick search here on this temp file that we've loaded up. What I'm going to do is we're in keyword and context, and I'm going to put this here. We're going to do a couple searches. One is we're going to type in the word process, and I'm just going to deselect that. All right. So we're just looking for process. What's going to happen is this particular word, if you will, is actually going to search by the letters. So it's not searching by words, searching by the letters. So I'm going to do here. I'm going to click start, and boom, look what you got. You have all these different types of the word process. So process, processing, processes, that sort of thing going through. So you have a list of that. You'll notice up here, total hits 320 for that. You can also see the words that are before it as well as the words after a keyword in context. So you get a sense of where that word is, how important it is, and that sort of thing. We'll come back to that in a minute. So I want you to do another search here. We're going to do words. Notice nothing's changed. I just selected that. We had 320 here, but if I just want to look for the word process, the 320 went down to 197, and I only have the word process here. So it's very important to consider that when you're searching. You've got to be careful when you're doing your searching that you've clicked on the right buttons. All right. So 1 to 100 here, and you can search that this way, going back and forth very quickly here. That is what you want to do. You'll notice the word process through here. We also have capitalized process. So we weren't too concerned about the case. We just wanted to see what's there. You'll notice on the right-hand side here, we have letters that are defaults in blue, and then you have red and green and sort of a purple color. These actually correspond down here when you're doing sorting. You're going to sort to the right, and you have sort 1, sort 2, and sort 3, and they're ordered by frequency. So you can tell right away that the most common word going with process is process of something. So that is listed first and foremost here. So very important to see that. If you wanted to change things up a bit, you can go to sort to the left and rerun the search, and you have it listed that way. So go back to this. You'll notice here you have the different tokens, the context, the size of the tokens list here. So if you were to do, let's say 20, right? This expands the words before it and the words after it. So you get much larger keyword and context display of what's happening. We're just going to go with 10 here. Go back to that. So you have different ways that you can manipulate the data to look at. So there you go. I should mention going through here that the files are listed here in various ways. tell you which ones are being used in that. All right, so we also have order by frequency, and down here we can also do order by value. So let's do order by value. And what this does is basically reorganizes process. Oh, here's a capital P. That's good to know with punctuation. And it starts with alphabetical order. So if you wanted to take a look at alphabetical values listed here, this is one way you can look at that way. I'm going to go back to frequency. Now, one of the nice things about this is that if you're looking at this, you say, wow, this looks kind of interesting. I want to click, I want to see more where this is in the text. I can double click on that. And here is the raw text. And you can go and you can take a look at where it is. In this case, it's up here, responsibilities in process. So you can get a better sense of this. You'll also notice up here, there are 28 file hits listed here under file types and file tokens. You'll notice we went from the tool quick to the file view. So that's very important to consider. So if you really wanted to get into it, you can work your magic that way. And it'll tell you that the word process is used 28 times in this particular file, the brown G text. So, all right, there you go. All right, we have next one here. I'm going to go back to quick, and I'm going to go here. I've showed you various different ways that you can use process and process. So if I were to do a case study, a particular case, so look for process and all small letters. I'm down to 189 now. So that's a quick way that you can look at. If I wanted to do capital P, then all of a sudden I'm down to just one process listed here. So that's what you select in your box here is going to change a lot of things, change your results. So you have to be cognizant of what it is you're typing in. And here you go with process, all capital letters, and there's a number here. So all different results, just with a different case. Now, one of the nice things about you can do basic text analysis using AntConc, and that's it. However, this tool is much more useful if you know, for example, regular expressions. If you have a very good background in regular expressions and experience with that, then you can obviously, your search strategy is going to be very different than what I'm showing you now. You can manipulate the text much more easily in that sense. So we have regular expressions here, regex. So I'm going to click on that. You'll notice words become deselected and there's no case. So in here, I can type in my formula. And what I'm going to do, just as a demonstration, I'm going to search for past tense verbs. Very simple, straightforward. So what I do is I type in the open brackets, A hyphen Z small letters, and then A hyphen Z large letters, capitalized letters. So I'm basically searching for everything there, and then put asterisks. So that will give me anything as past tense, anything before the word, the two letters ed. And then I want to search for the words. So I do /B. So that's a very basic way that one can implement a search. And I'm going to start this. It's going to take a little bit of time. So you want to look at the progress model here, bottom left-hand corner. And boom, there we are. And you can really tell there's a lot of past tense verbs in here, 41,000 to be precise. And you'll notice, yeah, this seems plausible because I've got all these particular verbs that end in ed. So that is a very quick way to look at particular words in that way. Again, the more you know about this particular regular expressions and that, the more utility you will find AntConc. I should have mentioned that while AntConc is written in the Python language, it actually uses Perl regular expressions. So if you're familiar with Perl regular expressions, you're going to find find AntConc to be most useful. All right. So we are going to move along now. I'm going to deselect that and we're going to move to plot. So here is plot. We want to look at the number of file tokens, file path, frequency, normative frequency, all this wonderful stuff. So, what I'm going to do just for based on my experience working with this over the years, I always find it every once in a while, if I'm starting something fresh, I want to just go to File and I want to clear all the tools and files. Because sometimes stuff that you selected for a previous tool sort of lingers on and it will absolutely affect your search results. So I highly recommend clear all tools and files and take those out. Now, I have nothing here. I need to go back in and I'm going to go to Open Corpus Manager. And since, if you remember, we were looking, we had already uploaded our brown text and we had it listed as temp.db. So I'm going to list temp.db. We'll get back into this interface in a bit. I'm going to use this as a target and I click on that. As soon as I click on that, over here on the left-hand side, you have the files listed. So that's good. So we're back to that. So a different way to load the text. All right. Okay. So we have, I mentioned here, frequency, that's the raw count, how many times a particular word is mentioned or phrase. Normative frequency, that's sort of how often that word or phrase mentioned that particular text, comparing it to the entire text. So for example, if you had a particular file that only had 100 words in it and dog is mentioned once, it'll just list it once. But if you have a file that has 100,000 words in it and dog is mentioned 20 times, this normative frequency tells you, well, it is mentioned more, but it has a very lower frequency than the previous text. So that's sort of what you want to know. So you're starting to get into a little bit of understanding of basic statistical concepts moving forward. And there is a lot in here that you need to know and be familiar with before one can reasonably interpret whatever results you get. So I just put that in there just to let you know that this software is much more involved than you first think it is. So, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to plot zoom. We're going to go here and we are going to type in the word process. So we like that. And we're going to deselect that. So back to that. And we're going to run that. And look at this. We get process and it is listed all these particular texts, file tokens of each particular file, if you will, the text. You have the frequency listed here, so, and then normative frequency, and then the dispersion, how it's dispersed throughout the text. So if I were looking for process, brown J looks very encouraging listed here. Now, if this is too small, you can always use the plot zoom here and just, I'm going to type in 2, and there it builds up in that way. So you get a better sense. So you get a sense how often it's used in each text, and you can go and you can actually click on this. I won't, but it'll take you to the particular use of the word in that particular file. In this case, brown H. If I clicked on that, that's where it would go. So very quick visual interpretation of what's listed here. Okay, so what we can do at this point, we can actually compare and contrast some things. So I did this with process and I came up with blue is the color and listen here. But let's say I want to look at compare process and say the word product. So I'm going to use overlay, and just to make sure that I'm want to contrast, I'm going to use this red color here, and I'm going to do the word product. Why not? So I do this, and boom, I can immediately compare and contrast the two words going through here, going through each text in that. So obviously a lot more in brown H listed at the front and that sort of thing. Here, down here, only mentioned once in the blue. So obviously it tells me that there's something going on in brown K and something happening differently in brown J. So you can compare and contrast these different things. You can also do something like if you take out the overlay, you can go and do particular search. So if I wanted to do, let's say, we are. So here's the phrase we are listed here. But I want to do overlay with this new purple here. And I want to do we have. There you go. So I can do a little bit of compare and contrast here. I should mention, well, when listing, when searching in AntConc, we've been basically using the simple files, but you can also do much more advanced searching. So you can do a search query with words. You can drop it in the a particular context search, that sort of thing. You can even do drag and drop particular terms in the above. You can even do the SQL search if that's your thing. So you have a lot of options here when you're using these different tools. And I'm sure I mentioned that at the beginning here. You also have the AI search. And let's see what happens with this. I suspect it will not work. Um, oh, okay. There you go. So we get a bit of a warning sign there. So end. All right, fair enough. All right, so now we're going to move on here. We'll get back into the AI and approach it from a different perspective. Now I should mention under plot here, you can change the graphic if you want. So if you go up to File, pardon me, if you go to Tool Settings, I should mention you've got all these tool settings here you can take a look at, some more useful than others. If you go to Plot, we're looking at the table view right now. You can look at the graphic view. So I'm going to do the graphic view and apply it. Oh, my bad. All right. And there we go. And you can list this. And in fact, this file here you can download and as an image, and you can use it in various papers or whatever that you want. So listed here. So that's a quick way of doing that. I'm going to go back to my blue. All right. So that is that. You can also search by these different ways: dispersion, norm, frequency, frequency, dot, all this sort of stuff. I'm not going to do that right now, but you do have that option. All right, we're now going to go to the file view. I'm going to select words and I'm going to go start. And here we have the file view. And this is kind of neat because we have 28 listed in just G, brown G listed here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear all tools and files. And I'm going to come back to this. New process. And I'm going to use words and just start there. And there we go. So we have 28 listed here. If I go to A, I can go through and check. Notice here, file 4 for file here. If you go down here to the bottom, it says it's listed here, right? So you can go down here and you can actually scroll through. Here it is in the top right hand, political process. We'll go through each text so you can focus on one particular text and analyze it here. You'll notice it's highlighted here, but also down here, if you notice very carefully, it's a light blue color process right here. So different ways you can scroll through a particular text looking for that particular word. All right, so that's a quick file hit, types and tokens in that particular one. Our next stop is the collocate. And I'm bouncing around here a little bit, but that's okay. So what is collocate? It is words that appear frequently within a certain distance of the search term. So that's a fancy way of saying words that co-occur together. So you can get very specifics of. We've noticed the words process of is very common out there, but you can go very much more sophisticated. So for example, you could say Mrs., and then the word after that is probably going to be a proper noun. So Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Baker, that sort of thing. So you have these words that can co-locate like process and of, but you can also have a noun with a particular word or a particular name. So, I mean, you can really, the more you know about doing linguistics and searching, you can do a lot more annotated searching in that respect. And I think that's part of one of the great things when you have a parts of speech tagging system, you can get into deeper analysis of your particular text. So anyway, so I'm going to do this again. And it's going to take a few seconds and then it'll pop up right here. Now we have a list. So we have the list with process, right? We have it's ranked number 1. It's very frequent. So there it is, left to right. Frequency to the left, 162. Frequency to the right, much less than that. And then the range is quite huge, 13. So that way you expect that from it'll be throughout the particular text or whatever. And then the likelihood of this, and then the effects. So the likelihood is a statistical formula for determining whether a word is unusually frequent in one corpus compared to another. So if you go under tool settings, I'm going to go settings, I'm going to tool settings, and I'm going to go under collocate. And when you go under collocate, you find a number of settings that you can use. So you have a likelihood measure. So how is this measuring that, right? You just don't want to accept these numbers passively. So in this particular case, it's using this log likelihood 4-term thing. You can do 2 terms. So we're going to keep it a 4-term. So that determines whether a word is unusually frequent in one corpus compared to another type thing. So you also have another concept called thresholds. So here's a p is less than 0.05, standard stuff in statistical research, statistical inference, right? So we're willing, what does it means that we're willing to accept at most a 5% chance that this result happened by luck, right? So we're very confident that they go together. If you look at effect, which is right up listed up here, you have it under MI in this particular case, which is mutual information. And this it's basically asked this question, how strongly are 2 words associated with each other beyond chance? So this has been a standard one for many, many years. And it's become, there's much other different more modern ones that you could use, for example, dice and that. So I'm not going to get into any of that, but you can see how you can apply a lot of this material, these tools, statistical inferences, and that sort of thing in here. All right. All right. The next one is clustered. We'll go back to this one here. So clustering is contiguous word patterns. For example, common phrases. So that's what you're looking for in clusters. And what I'm going to do is do process, and I'm going to do words and keep that in here. And I'm going to click on that. And what pops up is process. And what we're looking at are 2 words, process and whatever comes after it. So I look at rank, number 1 rank, process of, that's the most common phrase using the word process out there, 13, and then just really drops off, doesn't it? And you look at the range, it's much more broader. So very important concept, you will, the process of. Now you'll look down here at the cluster size. If I would go down to 3, pardon me, up to 3 and do the search again, it gives me a much more particular sense of what you've got here. But all of a sudden, the process of has been sort of split out. Now it's these particular words that are coming in. So if you wanted to look at process of and the word next to it, this is one way that one could look at these. And you'll notice process it's 4 times, so all of a sudden the dynamic changes slightly. Now, if we went down to 1 cluster size, it says process, sure, it's mentioned 197 times, right? Which is basically just doing a keyword search, keyword and contact search, and that's what you get. So not very helpful in that sense, but a different way of doing it. All right, so that's a very quick overview of cluster. Next one is n-gram. Let's go to n-gram right here. And n-gram, this scans through the entire corpus for n-size clusters. So, for example, you can look for 2-word clusters. And again, it's another way of looking for common expressions going through here. So I am going to not do any word here. I'm just going to leave it blank. I'm going to leave this blank too. Let's see what we get. It's going to search through. It's going to take a few seconds. So it's searching the entire text, and it's just going to give me the frequency of words that are listed in there. And here we go. And the n-gram for this is 2. So it looked through the entire types and the tokens, and it brought forth all these listed here. So basically, two words together, it listed it. I mean, that's essentially what it is. So that you look at the frequency of the, most common, right? And then you looked at in the, and then it starts to drop off, as you can see. So that's one way to look at some phrases in that. You'll notice also it does not give punctuation. So here's an N. I'm assuming that's going to be an apostrophe and then T. So again, something to ask yourself when you're going through the results. All right, so I'm going to change the 3 here, n-gram size, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. This is taking quite a bit of time. And there we go. And then again, you see the apostrophes aren't represented all that well, but then you get a different sense of what how you can read this. Now, if I were to change this to 1, it would basically a word, it would basically be a word search through the entire text and just listing what the most frequent words are and that sort of thing. So I'm not going to do that. All right, I'm now going to go to the word list right here. So it counts all the words in the corpus and presents them in an ordered list. So you can search by frequency in this case. So let's see what we get if I do this. So I didn't select words and I didn't put any words in there and just gave me a word list. All the words listed here and by frequency, obviously the, and then the range along here. So it's not terribly useful in terms of finding that. You have to play with it a little bit and then do a search query and that sort of thing. So what we can do is we can do process and no words button selected here. And here we come back to the frequency and range of the word, the letters process, not the word per se. So you notice the variations that you can find using this way. Now, if I just want to use the word process and nothing else, boom, 197, range of 14. So that gives you a sense of playing with these, what you can find. All right, so that's word list. Next, going to go to keyword. And what we're going to do here is that this shows the words that appear unusually frequently in the target corpus in comparison to the reference corpus. So this is something that if you're comparing two particular items, so you're looking at the idea of keenness likelihood again and keenness effect, which I mentioned here earlier. You can look at different ways. So in this particular case, what we're going to do is that I can go up here and I'm going to go to Corpus Manager. And what I'm going to do is do a quick comparison here between American English 2006. And I'm going to make that my reference. So selected that. And I'm going to take my temp and keep that as my target. So you notice reference and target. So I go here and I've loaded them up. So I did not type any words in here and I deselected the search and query and I just got this basic result as you can see going through here. And you can look at the frequency target, the frequency reference, the range target, the range reference, and go from there. So this is kind of fun if you're comparing two different um, corpora. So in this particular case, we have Khrushchev listed here, and the frequency target, right? He's going to be mentioned a lot because the original Brown corpus came out in 1961, so he's going to be listed a lot there. But notice in the frequency of the reference corpus, he's only mentioned one because it was created in 2006. So if you want to if you want to look at different words in that, you can sort of get a sense comparing of how often these particular words are used and how often they're not. So for example, take a look at this. You have misses in the original in the target one, 61 was mentioned 537 times. In the frequency one, it's only mentioned 99. In the reference corpus, it's only mentioned that. So if you go down here, you take a look at, let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, let's see, going down. So you have different ways that you can take a look at this. And you can compare different words and how often they were used or not used. And Khrushchev is a good one. So the frequency target was used, the old one was used Negro 124 times. And here under the reference corpus, it's only used 13 times. So you can get a sense maybe of words that are not, they're being used less often, that sort of thing. So that's a quick way of looking at comparisons. All right, now we have a word cloud as our next tool. And what you can do here is very interesting. You can do a number of different things listed here. If you want to create a word cloud, you can use the scratch pad. And the scratch pad is right here. So you can type in whatever you want in here, whatever text you want in here, and it will search for that. So let me just do this very quickly. The output will be words and the frequency, and here's what the image will look like in 200 words. So if you do that, I get this very basic, very straightforward, nothing to see here, so to speak. But you can use it to create word clouds. Now, if you wanted to do something different, let's say we wanted to do quick. So we loaded this up here, right? Oh, we did not. So what can we do here? Does this help? No search term. All right, so you want to do a particular keyword or a file view. Let me see, file view. Let me do file view. And if I go to word cloud, do file view, I get this. So you can actually use the tools to load up stuff and then put it in here. Now, in this particular case, you're going to have to use stop words list and that sort of thing. I'm not going to show that today. That will prevent these common words showing up and that. So you do have to work a little bit with stop words, a stop word list just to get proper examination. But there you go. You can also just use the scratch pad and put your text in there, assuming it's not too long, too large. All right, so that is that. We're now going to go to, I'm going to clear everything out here. There we go. And we are going to go back to the open corpus. And I should mention here the corpus library. And you'll notice you can have all these wonderful different, the American English as well as British English from 2006. So if you want to compare these two, you can do that. You'll notice that they have particular ones here. They're representative of the English language, and they've been curated to demonstrate um, um, non-bias, if you will. So if you wanted to look just at religion, for example, you could use that as a target and compare the religion one with the one that is in the American one here listed there. So if you want to do specific little searches across that way, you can load them using, um, reference and target corpora and play with them that way. So you can do that. You can also use user list here. So you can upload your lemmas, for example, if you wanted to look at different ways words are conjugated, that sort of thing. A lemma list is quite useful to have. You can compare it with what's in the text, your corpora, your corpus. You can also have the stop word list. All that sort of stuff will be listed here, and you can use those and pull those up. All right. So what I'm going to do here is just do a very quick walkthrough. This is a corpus library. You can import your files, and that's what we did before. You can do corpus building, so you can build your own files from wherever. You can put them in there. There are very different settings that you can use here. So if you're doing encoding UTF, you can do that, but you can also do other and list a lot more. So you can get quite sophisticated. Show token definitions settings. When you're looking at tokens, you have all this that you can set. So if you're doing, for example, XML, that sort of thing, you can do stuff like that and set it up that way. And then you can test it. I'm not going to do that now, but that's one of the things you can do. You have tables, and then you also have lemma grouping lists and that sort of thing that you can add there. So you do have a couple different options here. You also have, if you have a particular word list, you want to compare it with your corpora, you can just put your word list in here, and that would help in that regard. So corporate word list, corporate building, corpus builder, word list, and that. So a lot of different things you can do in that regard. All right. So now we're going to look, last thing we're going to look at is our chat AI tool. And this is going to be kind of fun and kind of wonky in a way. So it may or may not work. Who knows? So the chat AI tool, you can do three things. You can interact with LLMs, large language models, using three different approaches. So let me do this. And then go to tool. So tool settings. Nope. It's global settings. So you have AI right at the top. Yay. So here you have the basic settings where you want to get started. And you can do three different types of search. You can use AntConc AI Manager, which is local search. So this is the easiest and simplest, frankly. The models are limited in performance. The approach is completely free of charge. And what you do is you just download and select a local LLM via the AI Model Manager. So what does that mean? So if you want to go to the AI Model Manager, you go to the Open AI Model Manager here under File, and here you have a number of AI models that you can use. These are already put in there, so you can select one or two and then go with that. You can import your own AI models or model folders, or import libraries, or you can export whatever it is that you're doing and then go that way. You can show these particular ones here. These are the online ones. You can also update your libraries as you see fit. And these, you've got some llamas here, and gemmas and that sort of thing, and nano and that sort of thing. So that is the feature that you would use for AntConc AI. Now, the next feature that they've got is called the LM Studio, which is local. And in this particular case, this is a fun one here, because what LM Studio is open source software, And let me do this. Let me see if I can pull up. I've downloaded it, I've installed it. It's a website that you go in and get stuff. Um, Models here. I'm gonna need to share. Okay, I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it is. There we go. So I've downloaded it. You have to spend some time setting this up. If you go pick a model, it'll say, okay, you can use this model. You have to download 3.34 gigs, and then it will use this model. And then once it connects, then you're off to the races. So I'm definitely not going to do that at all. Thank you. But that is an option that they use. It's completely free of charge. Like I say, you have to download it, install it on your computer, and then start the LM Studio server. So it's quite involved in that sense. All right, so I am going to go out of that. Oh, and I'm going to go back to sharing. Oh, wait, that's not it. All right. So that's that. And then we have the Open AI Cloud, which is what I'm going to select here. This is where you can connect to ChatGPT. You will need to set up an Open AI key. So in this case, this is a great way to do it. Unfortunately, the interactions will be sent to OpenAI servers. So they do have a pricing scheme. Privacy may be an issue, and you'll be charged for all API interactions. So for the sake of this, I am going to see, did I put that in there? I did indeed. All right, I'm going to do this. I've already downloaded an API key. And I'm going to put that in here. I already have an account with ChatGPT. And I'm going to leave this at this OpenAI model at GPT like that. I may actually go to Mini. Let me do that. So you have all these different options that you can use. So Minis and turbos and all that sort of stuff. So you sort of have to think, which one's my best one? So I've used Mini in the past, so I'm going to do that. And then you have everything listed here. So I think we're good to go. So I'm going to apply that. All right, I think I've got everything here. All right, so I've loaded up all of my AI stuff, if you will. I'm now going to use, let's see if I can demonstrate this clearly. I'm going to go to Open File, and I'm going to pick a particular blog and text. A buddy of mine wrote a blog on science and reproducibility, very short one. So I thought, okay, let me do a little quick test here. So I'm going to use this as a target corpus, and it's loaded up here. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to keyword and context, go to file, and I'm going to run this, and it gives me the text of it. So I've loaded it up, and now I'm going to go to Chat AI, and it gives me this warning. Remember, OpenAI will calls will be charged to your account. So you have to, will limit your tokens and that. So you have to be cognizant of that. So here's what I have. Max tokens 100. Okay. The temperature refers to a sense of how the probability of how the likelihood of it coming up. So if you want it more accurate, I think go down to 0 or something like that. We're going to keep a stream. I'm going to use the source here, and I'm going to use file view. Okay. Now it's asking me, okay, what's your prompt? We don't have any prompt here. So I'm going to say, um, who is the author of the article? I'm going to keep it very simple here. I've had experiences with it where it doesn't really work or it goes crazy and that sort of thing. So hopefully today it'll work. So once I type in my simple prompt, I will save the prompt and it'll be pop up right here. So that's good. So I'm going to select that just to make sure. I'm going to remove previous context because I don't want to have a continuous conversation, but you can do that if you select maintain rolling context window. So I'm going to now go to submit and we're going to see what happens here. Oh, shoot. There it is. So at this point, you have to do some troubleshooting. I'm not too sure if that is. See, we've got OpenAI. We selected everything. If I go to 4 and apply that, we can do this again and see if we get lucky. So we're having a little problem with the connection. So I suspect if we go up here, we go here, if I select that, select that and see what we have. So you do have to play around with it back and forth. I have gotten it to work, but it does require quite a bit of troubleshooting. So a little frustrating. Maybe I can try this one here. Actually, let me select this one here one more time. So we get a little red button, and this should select red. Model has started as ready to use. Okay, so we'll try it one more time. And it won't connect. So normally what it does, it'll give you the text. In this case, it will mention my friend Benjamin Cushing as the author of this. So it has worked on numerous occasions today. I was playing with it this morning and it did work, but unfortunately it's not doing that right now. So such is life. And I suspect there's some kind of connection error. Oh well. So that is that. In a nutshell. And that's basically my presentation today. Do you have any questions? Okay, let me do this. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that. If there are no questions, I'll let you go. I'll make the recording available once we upload it up to YouTube on our library channel. So thank you very much for coming out today and enjoy the rest of your day.